Well, you know, the day March 29th, 1962 may not sound like much to most people. Maybe it's your birthday, maybe it's the birthday of a family member or something like that. But for me, March 29th, 1962 holds a special place in my heart, and it holds a special place in the heart of many San Antonians and South Texans in general. In this video, I'm going to talk about why this day is so important to me and to so many of you. March 29th, 1962, it was a day that was supposed to signal easy things that would meet the needs of people in South San Antonio. Now, you might be wondering why this day is so important. Well, that's the day that G. Seeley McReeless opened up his famed McReless Mall. It's no longer there, but I'll tell you, it holds a special place in my heart and the heart of so many San Antonians. Now, I want to share with you some of my memories of McReeless Mall. This place, I grew up in the 80s. This place had been around for at least almost 20 years by the time I come along. But let me tell you, it's really a special place to me. McReeless Mall is where we would often go do our shopping before school started. When I would go, and my parents and my grandmother, Memaw, we called her, would take their hard-earned money and buy me school clothes before I went off to my school there in Floresville, Texas. It was a place where we'd often stop and have lunch at Luby's or take in a movie or maybe even go and shop there at the Handy Andy that was one of the anchor tenants of the mall. This thing was a beautiful place. It was a iconic place if you lived on the south side. There were only a certain places that you could go to that really spoke south side San Antonio like McReeless Mall. Of course, there was, like I say, your Handy Andy, but there was also the Montgomery Wards, the J.C. Penney's. I think there was a Bell's in there. And no trip to McReeless Mall would be complete without stopping at Luby's or Orange Julius, of course. You see, McReeless Mall was a special place. McReeless Mall was an anchor of the community, and like most malls, it has since come and gone, lived its life cycle. The big regional grocery store cartel, H-E-B, bought the property some years ago, and it turned it into somewhat of a retail joke. But that's neither here nor there. The memories still exist. In the early 2000s, both J.C. Penney's and Montgomery Wards left McReeless Mall. After that, it just kind of began fading away into the abyss. There was no longer a use for McReeless Mall. There was no longer a use for most malls. In fact, malls today are even struggling to find their footprint. River Center Mall downtown, it's hardly a stone of what it used to be. Now it's just kind of like a place where a few shops are centrally located. Most of them largely useless. There's other malls that have come and gone. Places like Windsor Mall, it's now some sort of a corporate building, a headquarters, if you will. It doesn't even look the same. Going to look at Christmas lights in Windcrest doesn't quite feel the same without the traditional trip to Windsor Mall. You see, I'm not saying that I wish the good old days were back. I'm not one of those kind of guys. But I think fondly on the good old days. And I like buying things from Amazon, and I like going to H-E-B, and though I wish they had a little bit more competition, I think that there's certain memories that hold true to all of us. They feel good in our heart. They make us feel special. For me, McReeless Mall is one of those places. There was nothing quite like Montgomery Wards, the two-story shop that was the anchor tenant of the place. It was where we spent most of our money, probably, and our credit. Montgomery Wards was just an iconic place that we would go and shop for almost anything you ever needed. Then there was the Sears store, and there was the J.C. Penney's, and like I say, there were 32 stores there in its heyday. This was a mall to be reckoned with, but it felt like a little home. It was a place where I could run amok. It was a place where I could just go out and run up and down the long halls and nobody ever cared. It was a representation, I guess, of a time that's long gone. It's long since faded away. It's a time and a place that maybe society will never know again, at least American society. But there's something special about the mall. Now, a lot of people don't know that the McReeless family had been building homes on the city's south side for many years, since the 1930s. The name was iconic with the region. But then in the 60s, Sadie McReeless decided he was going to do something different. He was going to focus on the retail market. He was going to give them a place to go, something to do. Little did he know that many, many years later, people would still be thrilled by having something to do. That something to do is the internet. You know, I love the internet. I love technology, and I buy just as many things off of Amazon as most people do. But there's just something special about going to the mall. And perhaps there will never be another McReeless Mall to go to. There will never be something iconic. There will never be another Luby's inside the mall to have lunch at, or an Orange Julius to get a drink at, or a food court to ass around in. There may never be another Handy Andy for me to go and wander through, and there may never be another Montgomery Ward's to go and spend our money and our credit. But as a 43-year-old man from San Antonio, I'm looking back fondly of the memories, the things that I hold dear, the things that I absolutely love, and the things that I'm sure you love too. You know, we all have these places, and when H-E-B bought this place right off of Interstate 37 back in, 2003 or something like that, there was something iconic about that. H-E-B kind of turned it into this $90 million retail shopping place, trying to make new memories of their own. Well, I guess at some point the memories just tend to fade, and it just becomes another retail center that everybody largely ignores. But on March 23rd, 1969, there was a fanfare. There was a hope. It wasn't just another retail center. It was actually something to do on the city's south side. It was something that people loved. It was something that people gathered around. And a few people complained, saying that it was going to take away from the flares, and you knew that was just the way that it was going to be. Everybody's going to complain about something, right? But you know, McReeless Mall stood as an emblem of our community for many, many, many years. And that emblem of our community, though no longer there, still holds true in my memories and the memories of many other people. Do you have a memory of McReeless Mall? I'd like to hear it. Good, bad, or ugly. Maybe you spent some time running those same long corridors as I did, from Montgomery Ward's to Penny's. Maybe you wandered the halls. Maybe you shopped at Handy Andy quite regularly. I want to know what you got to say about it. Do you have any memories of McReeless Mall? Please, share me a comment. I'd love to hear it. Drop me a penny, will you? Let's talk about it. Because McReeless Mall was something special. It was something unique, something iconic. It was as bold and beautiful as the old rock pile, the San Antonio Zoo, or maybe Windsor Mall. The things that are still there, at least in shell and presence, and our memories. I'm Matt Pierce. Thanks for joining me. I'm the Texas essayist. We'll see you soon.